Hey everyone. So I've decided to make a video on being misgendered because it's been coming up a lot in conversations recently that I've been having with friends that I've been seeing on the internet as I follow other trans people, and my perspective's changing a little bit, I guess, since I've been on testosterone for 6 months now. It's changing, so I want to document it so that if I forget how it feels later, I guess I can remind myself, or my present self will remind my future self about how crappy it was in case my perspective changes and then I become, I don't want to say dismissive because I guess the pain of being misgendered is always there, but then you become more, it happens kind of, and you don't remember how horrible it was before you started hormones, or if you don't choose to go on hormones, which you have to deal with every day, probably for the rest of your life. So I just thought I'd make this video for myself and for others about how it feels now. So I've had two experiences like the last 2 weeks where I've been correctly gendered and I've been misgendered by different people for different reasons. So I'll go over being correctly gendered. I went to Walgreens to get some medicine, and the cashier is this African guy, like with the accent and everything. And he correctly gendered me, so that was great. He was like, "Have a nice day, sir," as I was leaving. And there was another element of being happy that this African guy recognized my masculinity. I don't know why. Probably because, like, he's seen a lot of black guys in his life, and then I fit right in there, so that made me feel like I'm just another, like, I'm no different than any other black guy himself. So that felt great. But then I went out to eat with two lesbians, and the server was a gay man, and he had served us, and he hadn't misgendered me yet. And then when he asked us if we wanted to place any more drink orders, he called us all ladies because I was there with Krista. He like lumped us all together, ladies. And I just sort of like inhaled and I said, should I correct this guy? Like, what will it accomplish? I mean, of course, I could have said that, sir, and then he would have felt all bad. And then I would have said, don't worry about it. And then I would have never seen him again. But then I feel like not correcting him gives, like, lets him continue with his misperceptions of me. But sometimes, like, even closer friends, I correct them and they still get it wrong. I mean, less so now recently, but they still get it wrong before I started testosterone. So then a part of me started saying, what is the point? If I can tell um this friend that I identify as male on Monday, and then I see them on Tuesday, and then they misgender me like 3 times, and I correct them again, and then 5 minutes later they still do it. How is the rest of the world going to possibly get it right? And I talked to my therapist about it, and she pretty much said, yeah, people are gonna fuck it up until those secondary sex characteristics start changing. Unfortunately, I mean, it should be different, but it's not. And it's like me versus the world, or I don't want to say trans people versus the entire world because we have allies that aren't trans, but you know what I mean. It's like swimming upstream and you're a salmon, and it's tiring, and everyone doesn't make it, unfortunately. So you have to keep that perspective in your mind. Like, can my mind handle like having these waves crash down on me every day? Uh, so I was correctly gendered. I was misgendered. Um, but since I've been on testosterone, of course, people have been getting my gender right more often, which makes me happy. Uh, and I guess because of that, now when people misgender me, it doesn't matter as much as it did before I started testosterone. I could give 1,000 reasons as to why that might be, but I'll say it's because I know that things are gonna start changing more, and it's gonna happen less and less frequently now. So that gives me peace of mind to know it's happening today, but it probably won't happen tomorrow, or at least not in a month from now, not in a year from now. People won't get it wrong anymore. So if I hold on to that, it makes it easier to get through people misgendering me now. Which people that don't go on hormones, they don't have that that to hold on to. It's pretty much just your close friends and people who know you already are going to get it right, which sucks. But every time you meet another person, it becomes a whole another conversation all over again. So that gets really old really fast. And some people get sick of having it, so they just don't let strangers in, unfortunately, because it's hard. So yeah, getting misgendered still sucks, but it's easier now. It's easier to deal with. And I'd also say when people misgender me, in particular because our server was a gay man, um, I didn't take it with that much offense. Probably, unfortunately, if he had been a straight man, 1 second later I would have corrected him. I don't know why. Probably because he's a gay man. He saw a community. He saw what he wanted to see. And I mean, trans people are a part of the community, but probably just thought I was another butch lesbian who identified as a woman, um, which there are a lot in the Midwest where I live. Guys, I just don't know what I should have done, okay? Because a part of me felt like if I correct him, then he'll think, oh, there's another trans person that doesn't want to be a lesbian. And then I start going down that negative path, that negative mind frame that I'm trying to get out of, where so there's so I'm trying to get in a more positive mind frame. So the negative mind frame I was in before T was if someone looked at me, I automatically thought they were looking at my chest, they were looking at my face, and they were trying to pick apart everything I didn't like about myself. So I just take it down that negative path, even if they were just looking at me to smile, which a lot of us do. I mean, I did it. It was hard on everyone, I guess. But now I'm more likely to give people the benefit of the doubt. I try. I mean, sometimes I still slip into the negative mind frame because I'm a pessimistic person. But now, if a person looks at me, I don't automatically think they're trying to figure out which gender I am, which a lot of them are. But they look at me and I smile and they smile and then they move on with their life. So then I wonder how many people I thought were staring at me that actually weren't. Like when I smile back, they smile and they go on with their life versus them smiling at me and me looking at them like this. And then I guess they get frightened of me for many reasons. But I mean, yeah, just don't take it to that dark place if you don't absolutely have to, is I guess what the point of what I'm trying to say. So back to being misgendered. Sometimes it felt like it was the end of the world before testosterone. um and by that I mean it didn't happen once, but I go to several different places and they misgender me, and then I would spend 5 minutes correcting someone at one place, explaining how I was transgendered and what that meant, go to another place and have to have that same 5 minute conversation all over again. It was so tedious. And it felt like there was no safe space for me except at home or around a close knit group of friends. And even among those friends, sometimes they'd have friends that I hadn't met before, and then the new friends would misgender me, and then it wouldn't be a safe space anymore. I'd have to have that whole conversation all over again. So uh, I pretty much would just float in my circles or stay in the house and just hide. Um, I mean, I guess a part of me is still hiding because um, I want to see more changes in myself before I meet new people. Um, it's pretty vain, I guess, but it's just how I feel. Like I want to have decent sideburns so that so that in people's minds they see male me and not uh, other me. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I hope that you know what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's not okay to be in the middle. I'm saying that I don't want to be, and I don't want people to see me that way. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to all the changes that are starting to happen, and my voice is getting deeper. I'm definitely getting gendered correctly more often, but I still get misgendered a lot. I'm trying to remember. Oh, right. I've been scheduling my top surgery, which I'm trying to get to happen at the Cleveland plastic surgery with Dr. Medali. Um, because he can do basically the keyhole liposuction. Um, because I have like double A cup size now. So before I started tea, I was a small B cup size, and now after tea, from working out and just fat redistributing away from your thighs and my butt and your chest to your stomach. But I don't really have much on my stomach because I work out. But just your fat will redistribute, even in your face, to give you a more masculinized face. But anyway, he can do the keyhole since I have such a small chest. And I think a lot of people go see Dr. Garamoni in Florida. And I mean, I looked at on Trans Bucket at Medali's surgery like later, like 6 months later, and it looked really good. And I saw another African American man that went to him on Trans Bucket, and his chest looked amazing. So that, and he also had like the keyhole incision. So that's why I'm going to Cleveland. I hope it turns out well. So anyway, I was trying to schedule that with him. I went through my insurance, which is going to pay for it, luckily. Well, part of it. They never pay for all of it, but it'll pay for part of it. Um, and I spoke to like 6 different people at the insurance agency. And when I called, they automatically said Miss, I guess, because on the phone everyone sounds younger. I mean, even cis men. I've like had a lot of cis men writing me saying, "Oh, I get Misgendered on the phone too. Don't feel bad." Um, and then I could say, "You don't know what it feels like to be misgendered, you cis man." But I mean, they don't have my experience, but I'm sure that it annoys them too to be misgendered. So anyway, I got misgendered 6 times because they kept transferring me, and each time it was more and more painful. And then whenever they misgendered me, I was like, they're just gonna transfer me again. I'm not gonna correct them. I'm just gonna like give them my information. I don't want to waste 5 minutes with this person explaining how I'm trans when they could just tell me what I need to know and transfer me to the person that I really need to have this conversation with. So I talked to the first woman, and she was like, "Miss this," and I was like, "Oh, gender reassignment surgery, someone to cover chest surgery," because she asked me, what exactly do you need? I mean, like, I understand why they need to know it, but it's still annoying. What exactly do you need? So I told her chest surgery, chest reduction. And then I think I confused her even more because then she thought I was a trans woman, M to F, and then I'm saying I need chest reduction surgery. I think she was just completely confused, and she told me, she was like, "I just don't know what's going on anymore. I'm going to transfer you to someone who I think can help you." So it's pretty annoying that people at these insurance agencies don't know squat beans about the trans community that they're supposed to be helping. I mean, we are the customers. Why do insurance agencies get away with such horrible customer service? I mean, if you went into a restaurant and they treated half of us like they do, it would go out of business in 2 days. I mean, they treat not just trans people, just pretty much the whole American insurance conglomerate as a whole. There are some better companies than others, but as a whole, you know, there are kids dying of cancer and their parents going into debt because they can't, because the insurance agency is like, "Oh, they reached their lifetime limit. This 5-year-old reached their lifetime limit. We can't help you anymore." I mean, I know that trans people are persecuted in other ways, but I mean, I just like to keep an open mind. I mean, it helps me feel less alone to say, yes, being trans is hard in our society. Uh, there are trans specific ways to oppress us, but then these other people are also being oppressed by the same institution, because then we can come together to fight it. I mean, you can pigeonhole yourself all you want, but the more allies you have, the more you can get done. That's just how I see it. It's how Dr. Martin Luther King saw it. It's how it is. I mean, from every movement in history, it's just never been one monolithic group. It's been people that could see injustices across boundaries and come together. So, yeah. Being misgendered sucks.